All right, guys. So this is the standard form of a circle. X minus, okay, so x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. That is the standard form for a circle, okay? Where hk represents the center of the circle and r is the radius. Any questions? Okay, so notice how we do the opposite of h and the opposite of k. I also want you guys to notice what this means is we would go to a point on our circle, we would plot that center, and then the radius is just the distance from the center to every other point on that circle, right?
Yes.
And we'll graph an example of that in just a moment. So in number 1, if we have a circle that has a center of 7, -4, and a radius of 11, Alexia, could you tell me how to write the equation of this circle? All we have to do for real is plug in h, k, and r. This is our h, this is our k, and this is our r. So tell me what to write.
X minus 7 squared
Perfect.
plus y plus
Oh my goodness, yes.
4 squared equals 11 squared.
And I'm going to write 121. I do want you to actually square that, okay? Any questions? That was perfect. She did that exactly right. Didn't need any help because she is awesome. Are there any questions there? Okay, let's look at number 2. How would I do this one? Could you help me out with number 2, Chloe? Okay, think about the radius. Right 8. So right, is that positive or negative? Positive. So our vertex would be positive 8, and it says up what? I can't see it on mine. Up 1. So the vertex is positive 8, positive 1, right? That's our HK. So could you tell me how we can plug that in to our equation? Well, actually, what's our radius? Well, this isn't our radius, but this is our radius squared, right? So our radius is really 3, which makes this 9. I mean, does that make sense? It's the same circle. They're just saying we're taking this circle with a radius, of 3, and we're shifting it up 8 and to the right. I'm sorry, we're shifting it to the right 8 and up 1. Does that make sense to you guys? Cool. Okay. What about on number 3? What would that be? Kevion? Perfect, because it'd be minus -7, which is plus 7. Yes? Y squared equals actually 9. It's the same radius, okay? We're taking up that circle and we're shifting it to the left 7. The radius remains the same. Any questions? All right, what about number 4, Patricia? Excuse me. Perfect. Any questions here? Okay. What about number 5, Matt? What's the center? So Matt, I don't want to say I was trying to trick you, but I was trying to trick you. I wasn't really trying to trick you. I wanted you to see a mistake. And Matt, I would say almost everybody in here, I'd ask them that question, they'd say the same thing. I did it on purpose. And the point of it is that you see a perfect square and you just instinctively want to take the square root of that. Right, Sierra? You just want to take the square root of that when you see a square root. Alvin, do you feel that way? A perfect square. But do we need, Murphy, to take the square root of 25? We don't, okay? So our center is just that. It is 25 what? -16. Perfect. Okay, and then what's our radius, though? Our radius, we do need to take the square root, right? Our radius is 3. Do y'all see that? Don't let that mistake, don't make that mistake, okay? Questions? All right. Let's look at number 6. Now, number 6 is where it gets a little ugly, Griffin. And it gets ugly because we're going to have to complete the square. And not only are we going to have to complete one square, but we're going to have to complete 2 squares, okay? So, just bear with me. We're going to do a few of these, and you're going to feel all nice and comfy with them, okay? So, we have x squared. I'm just rewriting these, grouping them together, minus 2x. And we want this to be a perfect square, so we need to add some number here so that we can get this perfect square trinomial. So I use my x's. Now I got to look at my y's. So that's y squared plus 4y plus something, okay? And I want to go ahead and move that 4 over, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So that just makes this equal to 4. Okay? Now, we need a perfect square, which means we need a number here. We need to figure out what number goes in this blank, okay? And if we're adding this blank to the left side, we have to also add that blank to the right side. Let me highlight what this means to us. That means this number goes here, and this number goes here. We need to find out what that magic number is that completes this square. In order for us to do that, it's pretty easy. It's just b over 2a. Let me write that. So it's just b over 2 squared. I'm sorry. So it's just b divided by 2 squared. And in this case, our b is negative 2. And when we divide that by 2 and square it, what do we get, guys? Positive 1, because a negative divided by a negative is a negative. I'm sorry, negative divided by positive is a negative. So we have negative 2 divided by positive 2 is negative 1. But what is negative 1 squared? Positive 1. Now, if we added that on the left side, in order for us to keep this equation an equation, so the left side is equal to the right, we also have to add 1 on the right side. What about this next one? How would we complete this square? Same way. So we take b, which is 4, we divide it by 2, and then we square it. What does that give us? 4. Are you guys paying attention? Kind of? So, we have completed these squares. Now, we want to rewrite this. So let's rewrite the x's. What 2 numbers multiply to give you 1 and add to give you negative 2? Multiply to give you 1 and add to give you negative 2. And Daniel says negative 1 and negative 1, right? So our 2 factors are x minus 1 times x minus 1. But can we rewrite that some way, Daniel? Right, x minus 1 squared, which shows us that this is a perfect square trinomial, but we knew that was going to happen, right? Now, what about this one? We could make a table and say what multiplies to give us 4 and adds to give us 4, but we know what are those 2 numbers? 2 and 2. But we can just write this as x minus 2. I'm sorry, as y minus 2. Now, there's actually an easier way to do this, okay? Look at b. Since this is a perfect square trinomial, just divide b by 2. What's negative 2 divided by 2? Negative 1. Okay, and then look right here. What's 4 divided by 2? I'm sorry, that's a plus. Thank you, that's what you're saying. That's a plus 2. This is a positive 2. Because that's a positive 4 divided by 2 is a positive 2. And of course our square. And then on the right side, what does this equal to? 9. Okay, so we have just rewritten this. We just wrote this in standard form. And we did that by completing the square twice. And we've used completing the square before, but we're still going to do a few more problems. So if you're not feeling too hot about this just yet, you'll start feeling better, I promise, okay?
Well, as the problems go on.
Uh-huh. What? Oh, yeah, so what would our center be? 1, negative 2, and what about our radius? Radius is 3. Perfect. All right, any questions?
So you, what you did there is just, oh yeah, I see.
Okay.
You put them in like terms.
Right.
And then,
Completed the square twice, 1, 2, so that I could write these as perfect squares. And now it's in the standard form of a circle.
okay.
And we can do that again on our next problem, which is number 7. So in number 7, again, we're going to rewrite this by grouping our terms and then completing the square twice. Oh, we need to subtract 12, don't we? And remember that the, yes?
If 12 is already square rooted, how is it negative?
It's not in standard form yet. So we're not saying that negative 12 is our radius because it's not in standard form. But you're right. If you ever get a negative on that side, you made a mistake. All right, so, excuse me. How do we complete the first square with the x's, Sam?
So,
Do you need something today? All right, so we're going to take b and divide it by 2 and then square that, and that gives us what?
4.
4, perfect. So 4 goes here and 4 goes here, because what you add to one side of the equation, you have to add to the other side. All right, now what number goes right here, Hannah, in the light blue?
-3.
Well, it's negative 6 divided by 2 squared, and what would that be? Negative 3 squared, which you're right, is 9. Okay, is everybody good up to this point?
Yeah.
Okay, now we want to write x squared plus 4x plus 4 in factored form, and we know that it's a perfect square trinomial. The reason we know it's a perfect square trinomial is because we just made it a perfect square trinomial. So that means that we can just write this in this form, and what goes inside? X plus 2, because it's just b divided by 2, and 4 divided by 2 is 2, right? But on this one, what are we going to have, Jada? Well, this is y, and our b is negative 6, so it would be x minus, or y minus 3 squared, and that's equal to, what's the sum of the terms on the right? 1, perfect. Any questions so far? Do y'all see how we got that equation? Okay, so now we're just going to graph this. You just go sit at the table in the back, please, ma'am. Is that was equal to 1? Let me give you a sheet. Oh, here. Okay. So let's graph this. So what is our center, guys? What's our center? Negative 2, positive 3, right? So let's go to negative 2, positive 3. And then our radius is 1. So that means that each point on the outside of our circle is going to be exactly 1 unit away from the center of the circle. So it's going to look like this. And that's it. I mean, my circle's not perfect, but yes, that's it. Any questions? Okay, I want you to go ahead. Oh, let's talk about this next one real quick. So I'm not going to do this one entirely, but what do we need to do first thing, guys? Divide everything by what? 4, perfect. So we divide everything by 4. And that gives us x squared plus y squared minus 6x plus 4y plus 4 equals 0. And then we would just from there complete the square, right? Are there any questions? Do you guys think you can do this on your own? All right, go ahead and finish number 8. I want to check it, and then you can turn over and start working on your homework, and your homework is the entire back.